And Kotov now dives into these variations which he had analysed at home, and we don't really know the timescale for this analysis. You know, maybe he spent a week, maybe he spent a day, we don't really know, but it certainly wasn't in the confines of an over-the-board chess game. So, you know, is Kotov's candidate move theory, or this systematic, you know, analysis, is it a training method, or is it actually a literal recommendation for an over-the-board game? That becomes a bit confused later, because then he writes as if some player did actually create a labyrinth of variations during the game, which I find particularly disturbing. But here, you know, he's doing basically a correspondence chess style analysis, and he looks, you know, at various continuations with the candidate move theory. He gives black actually two main candidate moves here. So it's a whole labyrinth here. But basically, he starts off by saying bishop takes pawn, knight takes pawn, and this is apparently proved by the following variations. So king takes knight, rook to knight 4 check. So the knight is in pre to that. The rook is in pre to that knight on f6. And now we look at apparently all these side continuations. King to f8. I'm going to translate from the notation into algebraic because I can't stand this descriptive notation. There's queen b4 check. If king h6, there's rook on 5 to g5, which apparently is winning, and black cannot meet the two threats of queen e5 and queen e1. And if king to rook 1, there's like rook takes bishop. I think I'm going to have to show you this because I'm completely lost myself. So knight takes pawn, rook to g4 check, queen b4 check here. That's obviously mating. So unless the queen's going to sacrifice itself, that's winning. So where else can the black king go? So if it goes to rook 3, he was saying basically rook 5 to knight 5. So that's attacking f6 with the queens still. So but also basically queen e1 and queen e5 are on the cards now. If queen e5, I guess the threat is rook g6. Rook, no. Queen g5 is not a threat because then king g7. All right, in this position, after rook 5 to g5, Kotov writes, black cannot adequately meet the two threats of queen e5 or queen e1. Okay, so he rules that out. In fact, actually, okay, what does Ribka think about that position? Is that true? Here, black does seem busted according to Ribka, which gives like rook g8, and here actually rook h4 check. That's quite sweet. King g5, queen e5 check. This is drawing the black king out for a slaughter. g3 check, king h3, queen f5 check, rook g4. And now apparently the winning move in this position is bishop takes b5. Because black, you know, is faced now with bishop f1 check. So queen c1 has to give up the queen, I guess. So like this. So yeah, the king couldn't like come out, basically. The analysis shown that, you know, after this knight sack, yeah, the king coming up the board is a bad idea. So if the king doesn't come up the board, in fact doesn't take the knight, say bishop takes c4. So we'll look at this as an alternative defence. Then knight f5 is strong. So it's a strong move. It creates mating threats as well as the threat of a family check on e7. So rook, queen and king would all be fault. Black has various defensive tries, but they're all unsatisfactory. So queen c7, for example, rook g4 check. Now here, if knight takes g4, then rook e8 is mating because rook takes and then queen g7 mate. So if the king moves, then this is a mating 2 according to Ribka. In fact, Kotov, if I've got this right, I don't think I've got this position right. He says rook takes bishop followed by rook e8, when in fact rook e8 is just winning here, but I might not have the right position, so this is mating. So it seems dire if the king goes in the corner, basically. So let's have a look. After this knight f5, it looks intuitively as though white has got a very dangerous attacking position with both rooks and the queen and the knight, and black's king's exposed. So rook c7, is that really a defensive try here? Rook c7. Rook g4 check again. King to rook 1. And here, rook takes c4 is winning because of this rook e8 idea. This is a mate again. Once the queen's decoyed from the protection of f6, it's mating on g7. And also there was queen to rook 5 considered by Kotov to prevent a queen check on from a3, or king bishop 8 diagonal. Oh, this diagonal. Okay, a3 to f8. But apparently there's rook e8 check. Rook takes rook. Rook g4 check. King f8, and now queen takes f6, and black has run out of checks. He has no defence against rook g8 check. Funny enough, Rybka doesn't kind of agree with this position, if I've got this right. Kotov then goes on, training exercises of this sort gradually led to an improvement in the accuracy of my analysis, and I was able to penetrate more deeply into the secrets of very complicated positions. So actually, yeah, Kotov, so far he definitely, gives the impression it's just the training system. The whole candidate move in creating this analysis of variations is not actually a practical thing you're using over the board chess. He picks up on Flohr's, missed, Hastings 5 times in a row victory and his only loss, potentially, where he had this very, very promising position. The tension was there. It was well annotated by lots of annotators around the world. So there was a lot to compare his analysis to. It became like a competition, in fact, because so many annotators were trying to find winning continuations around this position. So, in that position, which we just analysed, which if I can ever get back to it now through the labyrinth of lines, which I doubt. But Rybka did seem to think there was a defence, so this is kind of tragic if I can't get back to it. It was in the queen a4 line, I believe, so I'm going to look for queen a4 in this labyrinth. Queen a4, I found it. So here, apparently there was no defence, but Rybka only gives 0.59 for white. So why, you might ask? Queen d1 check, king f2, queen c2 check, king g3, and here, and this might be the reason why Rybka didn't like b5, Kotov's b5. There's a resource here for black. Can you spot what it is if I flip the board? So you have black here. Do you give up because of rook g8 check, or do you play on? If you play on, what can you play on with? I'll give you 5 seconds starting from now to see what Rybka finds. Queen takes f5.